What's up, guys? It's Ricky, and I wanted to talk about this story that you might have heard about. If you haven't, yeah, it's real out here. And so in Limpopo, there's a story. It's very small community. You will be able to hear it. Like I said, Limpopo news tend to be very much in Limpopo, and you might not even hear about them if us who are on social media who are from Limpopo don't tell it. So there's a story with an audio that is talking about these guys who are supposedly vampires. They beat someone and stuff like that. Now, I will do the breakdown of the audio on the second video around 3 o'clock. So y'all come back around 3. I'll do the breakdown of the audio with another edition. But here on this episode, I want to talk about something else. So on this episode, I want to talk about what's been happening in Limpopo. That kind of brings this particular story. So if you don't know the story, I'm talking about TDM News Soweto. They did publish it. Now I can't show a thing. You can see the audio, the one where you see the vampire face. That's the audio, and then the person on thingy is on the other side. I can't show them up close because they were bit on their lips. So on the second story, on the second video, which is the one I will do at 3 o'clock, I will then tell you the other aspect of this story. Okay, there's another story that I wanted to talk about involving a brother and two brothers who and one of these brothers actually killed his brother and his wife. And I don't know if he hurt the kid. He tried to do that with the kid and it didn't. I just can't remember exactly the thingy, but I'll go back and I'll give you that story. The stories that are happening in Limpopo are very important to note. So on this episode, I don't want to talk about this story. I want to just give the background before we talk about this story. Limpopo has been experiencing a very high activity of cultism. It's important we talk about this because so that we can have balance, so that you can understand what's been happening from a spiritual perspective as well. There's been a lot of activity of cultism in Limpopo. Not long ago, there were stories about people forcing themselves. I almost said the word. People forcing themselves. There was that case. Okay? And also shout out to Lemo. Lemo sent me this audio. She sent me this audio yesterday, and so I listened to it and I was like, how is this even real? And then someone sent me the story in the morning, and so that's when I was like, Haibo, so what Lemo was talking about yesterday or sent me an audio of has a foundation, like a real base foundation. So I have a journalist that works in Limpopo, and if anything happens in Limpopo, he knows. So I sent him a message. I'm like, dude, is this story real? And he's like, yes, it's real. So what's the story? It's that there's some guys who are going around and they're trying to kill. And they say that they've already killed someone. Okay, so the lady that you see in that video there, it's not a video. It's just a snapshot of the video. I haven't seen the original video. And so she survived, but there was another person who was killed by these supposed vampires. First, that's why on this video I want to talk about the cultism and devilish things that have been happening in Limpopo. Over the last 3 years, it's been just heightened. It's like it's just going worse. And so that's why I want to talk about that first before I talk about that particular story individually. So the vampire story, I'll come back to it on part 2. On this episode, I want to delve into the subject matter of the cults that are rising in Limpopo. There was also, unfortunately, one of the guys who actually, he took himself, right? And the story then came out that he had been making audios about a cult that is from Rivonia and stuff like that. So if you're from Limpopo, you'll know this. But if you're not from Limpopo, like I said, you will not even know about any of this. And so that young man ended up passing away. When he passed away, people started trending this thing that he had been, maybe the Rivonia cult is the one that's responsible, the one that did what. Now, this story then faded, okay? But I had questions because he was from the area, or he was a comedian, I think, and he was from the area, the Kiani area. He was from the Kiani area. And therefore, and these guys as well who are being said to be the vampires, they are said to be from that direction as also. They are from that area as well. Now, the particular gentleman who had been said to have released audios, he was a comedian, and then he just thought to take himself because there was this threat on his life, and he had released audios and videos and stuff like that. It's a whole story. You won't even see it online unless you go back to when people started publishing this story. Now, this story, I didn't publish it because I browsed through the gentleman's page and I realized that we had a mutual friend. So me and this gentleman who had taken himself, we had a mutual friend, just coincidentally. Someone that I was very close with way back, 2010 and so forth. And so I was like, oh, he knows him. So I picked up the phone, I called this guy, and I'm like, hey man, what's happened? What happened with this guy? And he explained the guy really struggled with depression and all those kind of things. And he had a lot that was eating him up inside. And so I didn't cover it because of that. I didn't cover that story because of that. But the Rivonia story never went away. It came back up. And when that story came back up, it was involving pastors. Okay? Now, this time when it involved pastors, it revoked another story that had come out, I think a year or a year and a half ago, about people that were forcing themselves under a cult. And there were pastors named, whatnot, and stuff like that. The story trended in Limpopo. It didn't go anywhere else. It trended in Limpopo. It died down. There was the names of El Mamutabatindi. There was audios that came out and all this type of stuff and stuff. All this hinging upon the same thing. Cultism in Limpopo. Cultism. So when I heard about this story, at first I dismissed it. I was like, maybe the audio, especially when I heard the audio, I was like, that's why maybe I didn't even respond to Lemo, because I was like, okay, no, because we were talking about something else with Lemo when she sent me that. And so later on, I'm like, Lemo sent me the audio, and so the first place of what I thought of was the cult issues that has been going on in Limpopo. It's on a rampant, and now it involves this younger supposed one to be prophets. Pasarani, I've heard already. I had a story that was from that same area, Limpopo Kiani side, of a so-called prophet, and he's doing the same thing, forcing himself upon ladies, blah 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 blah, and then they are afraid of him. Somehow he's from some secret group, and he threatened these ladies' lives. So the story died down. Okay, I was pursuing that one, and so it ended up that the ladies were just scared at that point. So just so that you can understand how when I heard this vampire thing, it just reminded me of all these things. Before I play you the audio and we go into that direction, I wanted to give this foundation idea. There's been a lot of diabolic, demonic things that have been going on in Limpopo. The false prophets. Number one, the whole group thing of people forcing themselves under the banner of cultism. And then this one. Now, at this one, when I heard that it was a vampire thing, I thought it was one person at first also. And so if it was one person, I thought, that maybe it is this mental issues. You've heard this type of things where in the US where someone would chow someone's face or eat someone's face or something like that, and they eat. So, because this is the same thing here, is that these people, they were not just biting, they were eating. So, very much cultish, because the intention was either it's either initiation or something. It goes within this very same banner that I'm talking about of this cult behavior that's happening in Limpopo there. And so as I'm making this episode so that when I make that episode, we have this banner on the background, because we know that within cults they do have these rituals where they would make people undergoing initiation to go on into doing very diabolic things, just much like the gang basically. And so before I do the breakdown on that, I wanted to come back here and bring this particular background to say there's been this behavior that's been going on in Limpopo. Very toxic behavior. It's a whole thing. It's like cults under pastors, cults and individual groups. And it's just very sickening stuff. But it's all over. It's all over. And so before we go on to talking about that, I wanted to give this background. Because on the second story that I will talk about on that other second video, it involves a brotherhood who went, I don't know what he heard, who told him what, and the public told him that your brother is using you for witchcraft. He went and he healed his brother. That man has been arrested right now. I'll bring back that story and then I address it there, because I tend to forget it. I put it on the side. But then when this one came back, it reminded me of that. There's been a lot of things happening in the Limpopo region with cults, witchcraft, all kinds of things. And all of it ends up being exposed. That's why I'm even coming here to make a background video, is that all of it ends up being exposed. So on the second episode, then I will address this particular subject of the vampires and whatnot and all these guys. I'll play you the audio and then I'll give you that second story. I wanted to give this background. People, be watchful out there. Be watchful who you call prophet or who you call pastor, because there is a lot. And these people who are joining these things, they join consciously so. It's Ricky. I'll see you on the next episode. So just wanted to give a background so that when we talk about that, your frame of mind is in a different place. I want you to understand all this other activity that has been going on, so that you don't take this as for me, I'm not taking, for me, that's just me. I'm not taking this as an isolated case. I'm taking it as on account of all these other diabolic things that have been happening there. It's Ricky. I'll see you on the next episode. Y'all have a good day.